In this movie, we're going to create a new Premiere project, of course, but we're also going to look at what exactly a Premiere project is. Now, we have this welcome screen that pops up, and I'm going to create a new project. Now, thankfully, they've actually simplified this dialog box over the years. There's not too much we need to worry about here. Although we can go to the Scratch Disk tab, especially if you're going to be capturing footage, which we'll talk about later on in this chapter. But other than that, we don't need to worry too much about what's going on here. We just need to pick a location and pick a name here. I'm just going to go with the default for right now, just to go ahead and move on and click OK. Now, this is the kind of challenging part about creating a new project, because it seems like you go through all these steps. Well, actually what we've done is we've actually already created the project, and since really the lifeblood of projects are sequences, it asks us if we want to create a new sequence. Okay, fine. Let's go ahead and just select whatever the first thing is selected here. DV NTSC standard 48 kilohertz is what I have selected. Sure, we'll go with it for right now. Go ahead and click OK. Now, after that, Premiere opens up and we can get to work. Now, if you want to adjust some of the settings that we just saw in the project settings initially, we can go to Project, Project Settings, and then choose either General or Scratch Disks. And here we have our project settings. Now, I'm not going too much into these parameters because they are pretty advanced. And the good news is that you typically don't have to change these. And if you ever did need to change them, then you'd be a pretty advanced user and you'd know what to do. And honestly, I've never had a need to change any of these default settings, so I think you're good there. Now, one thing you need to know about Premiere Pro projects is that all of the stuff that you bring in, all the stuff that we'll be importing later on in this chapter, Premiere projects maintain the links to those files. They don't actually get embedded in the project. Let's say you have a 2 gigabyte video file on your hard drive. That file doesn't actually come into your Premiere Pro project and you're making your Premiere Pro project file get 2 gigabytes in size. Premiere only maintains a link to that file on your hard drive. So you want to make sure that you don't rename or move or delete any of the source files that you bring into your Premiere projects. Also, you want to make sure that I like to go into the Premiere Pro menu, go into Preferences. On a PC, by the way, this will be under the Edit menu. And then just go to Autosave here. And Autosave allows you to save your projects automatically. I highly recommend turning this on. If this is on, then you don't have to worry about saving. Premiere will actually create a new folder in the same folder as where your project file is, and it will save different versions of your project as it goes. So by default, it's going to autosave every 20 minutes, and there's 5 different versions. So when it comes time for the 6th version, after 100 minutes, it's going to make a 6th version. Then it's going to record over, save over the initial auto-saved project. Now, I tend to take this number down to automatically save every 20 minutes. Again, it's the default, but I might say every 10 minutes. When you're in the groove and you're editing, it is very challenging to get the right tempo and the pace of your edits, the right feel. And once you do, it's sometimes impossible to get back to the way that you initially had it, or at least it's very challenging and time consuming. So what I like to do is take this number down to the number of how often it saves. And I also would like to increase the maximum project versions, because the file projects actually, because Premiere is only maintaining links to your source footage, the Premiere Pro project file itself are very small. So you could afford probably to take this number up a little bit more if you need to.